The massive space station hung like a silver jewel against the stars, its rotating sections creating artificial gravity for the thousands of beings inside. New Geneva Station served as neutral ground where different species could meet without fear of attack. Today, it hosted the most important gathering in human history. Ambassador Marcus Kane adjusted his formal dress uniform as he walked through the pristine corridors. The weight of humanity's future pressed down on his shoulders, like a physical burden. Behind him followed his small delegation of Earth's finest diplomats, scientists, and military advisors. They had traveled here to sign what many called the Treaty of Ages. The Galactic Council had finally extended an invitation to humanity. After 3 centuries of isolation and struggle, the major alien powers wanted to welcome Earth into their ancient alliance. The Vorthak Empire, with their towering reptilian forms and armor that seemed to shift colors in the light, had been surprisingly generous in their terms. The Luminari Collective, beings of pure energy who communicated through waves of light, had offered technologies that could advance human civilization by thousands of years. Kane entered the Grand Assembly Hall where representatives from dozens of species had gathered. The air hummed with translation devices working overtime to convert the babel of alien languages into something resembling coherent communication. At the center of it all stood Overlord Thrax of the Vorthak Empire, his massive frame draped in ceremonial robes that sparkled with embedded gems. Beside him floated Primessence Zilara of the Luminari, her form a shifting pattern of golden light. "Ambassador Kane," Thrax's voice rumbled through the translation device, "we are honored by your presence. The Council has waited long for this moment," Kane bowed respectfully. "The honor is ours, Overlord Thrax. Humanity is grateful for this opportunity to join the galactic community." As the formal greetings continued, Dr. Elena Vasquez hung back near the edge of the human delegation. As the mission's xenobiologist, she had spent years studying alien behavior patterns and body language. Something about this entire situation felt wrong, but she couldn't quite identify what it was. The Vorthak delegation moved with perfect coordination, their massive forms somehow graceful despite their size. But Elena noticed tiny inconsistencies in their movements. When they thought no one was watching, their posture changed slightly. The friendly demeanor seemed to slip for just a moment before snapping back into place. Commander Jake Morrison stood at attention near the entrance, his sharp eyes constantly scanning the crowd. As head of station security, he had insisted on maintaining a human presence in the security detail despite the aliens' assurances that it wasn't necessary. His earpiece crackled with regular updates from his team monitoring the various alien quarters. "Sir," came a whispered voice through his cum, "we're detecting some unusual subspace transmissions from the Vorthak section. They're not using the standard diplomatic channels." Morrison's expression didn't change, but his hand moved slightly toward his sidearm. "Can you decrypt them?" "Negative, sir. The encryption is unlike anything in our databases. But the frequency and timing suggest they're not casual communications." The ceremony continued with elaborate speeches about unity and cooperation. Overlord Thrax spoke of the great benefits that would come from human membership in the Council. Advanced medical technologies that could eliminate disease, energy systems that would power entire star systems, and defensive technologies that would protect humanity from the dangers lurking in the dark spaces between stars. Dr. Vasquez found herself studying the Luminari representative more closely. Zylara's light patterns seemed to pulse in rhythm with her words, but Elena noticed something odd. The colors would shift slightly whenever certain topics came up. When discussing human military capabilities, the golden light took on a distinctly greenish tinge. When mentioning the timeline for technology transfer, red flickers appeared at the edges of the energy field. "The terms are indeed generous," Kane was saying to Thrax. "Full membership status, immediate access to Council trade, networks, and protection under the Galactic Defense Pact. It almost seems too good to be true." Thrax's laugh was like distant thunder. "Ambassador Kane, after reviewing your species' remarkable achievements, the Council believes humanity deserves nothing less. Your wars have shown us your strength, your exploration has demonstrated your curiosity, and your art has revealed your soul. We have been watching your progress with great interest." Elena felt a chill run down her spine. Something about the phrase, "watching your progress," didn't sit right with her. She began to notice other small details. The way the alien delegates positioned themselves around the room wasn't random. They had clear sight lines to all the exits and communication terminals. Their casual conversations seemed to follow patterns, as if they were sharing information in some kind of code. Commander Morrison received another update through his earpiece. "Sir, we've detected trace amounts of airborne compounds in the negotiation chambers. They're not toxic, but they seem designed to influence human neurochemistry. Specifically, they appear to enhance feelings of trust and reduce skepticism." Morrison's jaw tightened. The aliens had been subtly drugging the human delegation during negotiations. It explained why everyone seemed so willing to accept terms that, under normal circumstances, would have required months of careful analysis and debate. The signing ceremony was scheduled for the next day. Dr. Vasquez decided she needed to investigate further. During a break in the proceedings, she approached the station's main computer core. Her security clearance allowed her access to the biological monitoring systems that tracked the health and behavior of all station inhabitants. What she found made her blood run cold. The Vorthek delegation had been using sophisticated pheromone modulators to influence human emotional responses during every negotiation session. The compounds were designed to bypass conscious thought and directly affect the brain's trust centers. Every human who had spent time in the negotiation chambers had been chemically manipulated, but that wasn't the worst part. Elena discovered that similar compounds had been detected on trade ships that had visited human colonies over the past 6 months. The aliens hadn't just been preparing for these negotiations. They had been systematically conditioning human populations across known space. As she dug deeper into the station's sensor logs, Elena found evidence of equipment being moved through the alien quarters that didn't match any known diplomatic or ceremonial items. The masses and energy signatures suggested sophisticated communication arrays and what appeared to be weapon systems. Commander Morrison was conducting his own investigation. His security teams had been monitoring the alien communications, and while they couldn't decrypt the messages, they had noticed something disturbing. The transmission patterns matched those used by military forces coordinating large-scale operations. The aliens weren't just talking to each other. They were reporting to someone else. Late that night, Elena and Morrison met in a secure conference room. The evidence they had gathered painted a terrifying picture. The generous peace treaty wasn't what it appeared to be. It was the final phase of a carefully planned operation. "They've been preparing for this moment for months, maybe years," Elena said, her voice barely above a whisper. "The pheromone conditioning, the strategic positioning, the military-grade communications. This isn't a peace treaty. It's a trap," Morrison nodded grimly. "My teams have detected massive fleet movements beyond the outer rim. Far more ships than any diplomatic mission would require. They're positioning themselves near our major trade routes and military installations." Elena pulled up her analysis on a secure terminal. "Look at this. The treaty requires us to provide detailed information about our defensive capabilities, fleet positions, and colony locations. They're asking for everything they would need to coordinate a simultaneous attack on all human settlements." Morrison studied the data, his expression growing darker. "And the technology transfer they're promising, if it follows the same pattern as the pheromone compounds, it could contain hidden elements designed to disable our existing systems." A soft chime indicated an incoming message. Morrison accepted the transmission, and the face of one of his security officers appeared on the screen. "Commander, we've intercepted a fragment of an encrypted transmission from the Vorthek quarters. Our computers can't fully decrypt it, but we were able to isolate a few phrases." The officer's voice was tense as he continued. "Sir, the message mentioned Phase 1 initiation upon signature completion and human fleet neutralization protocols, Commander. I think they're planning to attack us the moment the treaty is signed." Elena and Morrison exchanged looks. They had less than 18 hours before the signing ceremony, and the fate of humanity hung in the balance. The aliens had planned this trap perfectly, but they had made one crucial mistake. They had underestimated humanity's ability to detect deception and adapt to threats. The real question now was whether they could warn Earth and prepare defenses in time, or if the treaty signing would mark the beginning of humanity's final war. Admiral Rebecca Torres stood in the command center of Seoul Defense Command, watching the massive holographic display that showed ship movements across human space. The three-dimensional map flickered with thousands of points of light, each representing a vessel somewhere in the solar system. Most were civilian cargo haulers and passenger transports going about their daily business, but several caught her attention. "Computer, highlight all non-human vessels that have entered our space in the past 6 months," she commanded. The display shifted, and dozens of red dots appeared throughout the map. Each one represented an alien ship that had visited human territory under the banner of cultural exchange, trade agreements, or diplomatic missions. The pattern that emerged made Torres' stomach clench with dread. "These aren't random visits," she muttered to herself. "They're reconnaissance missions?" Her aide, Lieutenant Commander David Park, approached with a data pad in his hands. "Admiral, we've completed the analysis you requested on the alien gift shipments. The results are disturbing." Torres took the pad and scrolled through the information. Over the past year, alien vessels had delivered what they called goodwill gifts to over 50 human colonies. Advanced medical equipment, improved communication systems, and educational materials had been welcomed with gratitude by colonial administrators. But each gift had come with alien technicians to help with installation and maintenance. Every single installation team conducted detailed scans of our defensive systems, Park continued. They claimed it was to ensure compatibility with their technology, but the scan patterns matched military intelligence gathering protocols. Torres pulled up detailed reports from several colonies. On Kepler Station, Vorthek technicians had spent 3 weeks installing a new water purification system. During that time, they had somehow accessed the station's defense grid specifications. On New Harmony, Luminari engineers had upgraded the communication array while secretly mapping the locations of every military facility on the planet. "They've been systematically collecting intelligence on our entire defense network," Torres realized. "Every colony, every military installation, every trade route. They know more about our capabilities than we do." Meanwhile, on Mars, Dr. Benjamin Cross was having his own disturbing revelations. The archaeological team he led had been excavating ruins in the Valles Marineris Canyon system for over a year. What they had found challenged everything humanity thought they knew about the galaxy's history. The ruins belonged to a civilization that had called itself the Hegemony. They had been remarkably similar to humans in terms of technological development and social structure. But what made Dr. Cross's blood run cold was how their civilization had ended. "Professor Williams," he called to his lead researcher, "bring me those tablets we found in the central chamber. The ones with the star maps." Williams hurried over with a collection of metallic tablets covered in intricate symbols. The team had been working for months to decode the ancient language, and they had finally begun to understand the story these artifacts told. The Hegemony was approached by a group calling themselves the Galactic Council, Cross read from his translation. Notes: they offered peace, prosperity, and advanced technology in exchange for membership in their alliance. The terms were generous, almost too good to be true. Williams looked up from her own tablet. "Doctor, look at this section. It describes the Council's representatives. Tall beings with scaled skin and armor that changes color, and entities of pure energy who communicate through patterns of light." That sounds exactly like the Vorthek and Luminari. Cross felt his heart racing. "Keep reading." What happened next? The Hegemony signed the treaty, but within hours their entire fleet had been disabled by hidden programs in the technology they had received. The Council's ships attacked simultaneously across all their worlds. The civilization was destroyed in a single coordinated strike. Williams pulled up another tablet. Doctor, there's more. The hegemony wasn't the first. These symbols here mention at least 3 other civilizations that were destroyed using the same pattern. The Council approaches the dominant species, offers them membership, provides technology that secretly contains weapons, then activates everything at once. Dr. Cross stood up and walked to the window overlooking the Martian landscape. In the distance, he could see the lights of New Shanghai, one of Mars' largest cities. Millions of people lived there, completely unaware that they might be facing the same fate as the hegemony. Professor Williams, we need to contact Earth immediately. Humanity is about to make the same mistake that destroyed 3 previous civilizations. Back in deep space, Captain Lisa Reynolds commanded the monitoring station Cerberus, humanity's farthest outpost. The massive sensor array could detect ship movements across hundreds of light years, making it an early warning system for any threats. Approaching human space. For the past week, Reynolds had been tracking unusual activity beyond the outer rim. At first, she thought it might be a natural phenomenon or perhaps a large asteroid field moving through the region. But as her sensors gathered more data, a terrifying picture began to emerge. Chief Martinez, she called to her sensor operator. Can you give me a count on those contacts we've been tracking? Martinez worked at his console for several minutes before looking up with a pale expression. Captain, we're detecting over 3,000 ships massed in the neutral zone. They're maintaining communication silence and running with minimal power signatures, but they're definitely there. Reynolds felt her pulse quicken. 3,000 ships? That's larger than the entire human fleet. Are they heading toward our space? No, ma'am, they're holding position. But, Captain, their formation suggests they're prepared for a coordinated attack. They're positioned near all our major trade routes and military installations. Reynolds pulled up the tactical display and studied the alien fleet positions. It was a perfect setup for a simultaneous strike against every important human settlement. The only question was what they were waiting for. Chief, have there been any changes in their positioning over the past few days? Martinez checked his logs. Actually, yes. They've been slowly moving closer to our borders, but only by a few light minutes each day. At their current rate, they'll be in optimal attack position by tomorrow evening. Reynolds realized with growing horror that the alien fleet was timing their movements to coincide with something. The peace treaty signing was scheduled for tomorrow afternoon on New Geneva Station. If the aliens were planning to attack immediately after the ceremony, they would catch humanity completely off guard. She activated the emergency communication system and sent a priority message to Seoul Defense Command. This is Captain Reynolds aboard Cerberus. We have detected a massive alien fleet massing beyond the outer rim. Recommend immediate defensive alert for all human settlements. On Earth, Admiral Torres received Reynolds' message just as Dr. Cross's. Urgent communication arrived from Mars. The pieces of the puzzle were falling into place, and the picture they revealed was terrifying. Get me Ambassador Kane immediately, Torres ordered, and prepare to activate the emergency defense protocols. Park looked confused. Admiral, we're supposed to be signing a peace treaty tomorrow. Won't activating defense protocols send the wrong message? Torres studied the data from both Reynolds and Cross. Lieutenant Commander, I think the aliens have been sending us the wrong message for months. This peace treaty isn't what it appears to be. She pulled up files on the alien cultural exchange programs that had been operating across human space. Vorthix students had been studying at human universities, learning about their history, technology, and military doctrines. Luminary artists had been creating installations in major cities, always choosing locations near communication hubs and government facilities. They've been infiltrating our society, Torres realized. The exchange programs, the trade missions, the diplomatic visits. They've been placing their agents throughout human space, gathering intelligence and preparing for this moment. The communication from New Geneva Station finally came through, and Ambassador Kane's face appeared on the main screen. He looked tired and stressed, but his expression changed to alarm when Torres began sharing their discoveries. Admiral, are you suggesting that the Galactic Council is planning to attack us? Kane asked. I'm suggesting that this entire peace treaty is a trap, and we have less than 24 hours to prepare for war, Torres replied. Kane was quiet for a long moment. Admiral, if you're right, then we need to warn the colonies and prepare our defenses, but we can't let the aliens know that we've discovered their plan. If they realize we're onto them, they might attack immediately. Torres nodded. Agreed. We need to appear to be going along with the treaty while secretly preparing for battle. Can you delay the signing ceremony? I can try, but any significant delay will make them suspicious. We need another solution. Dr. Cross's voice came through the communication link. Admiral, there might be a way. The hegemony ruins contained information about a countermeasure they were developing before they were destroyed. If we can find their research, we might be able to turn the aliens' own trap against them. Torres looked at the tactical display showing the alien fleet positions. Humanity had always prided itself on its ability to adapt and overcome challenges. Now they faced the greatest test in their history. Dr. Cross, how long would it take to locate this countermeasure? The ruins suggest it was hidden on a world called Kepler 442b, about 30 light-years from here. If we sent a team immediately, they could reach it in 18 hours using our fastest ships. Torres made her decision. We're going to fight. On two fronts. Dr. Cross, you'll lead a team to find the hegemony's countermeasure. Ambassador Kane, you'll delay the signing ceremony as long as possible. I'll begin secretly preparing our defenses. Kane's image flickered as the transmission began to break up. Admiral, there's something else. We've detected evidence that the aliens have been using chemical agents to influence human behavior during negotiations. They've been manipulating us from the beginning. The transmission ended, leaving Torres alone with the weight of humanity's survival on her shoulders. The aliens had planned their trap perfectly, but they had underestimated one crucial factor: humanity's greatest strength. Wasn't their technology or their military might? It was their ability to recognize deception and adapt to threats. The countdown to humanity's greatest battle had begun. The transport ship Prometheus cut through space at maximum velocity. Its fusion engines pushed beyond their normal limits. Colonel Ryan Mitchell stood in the cramped bridge, watching the stars streak past as they approached Kepler 442b. Behind him, his carefully selected team prepared for what might be humanity's last hope. Dr. Amara Singh, the quantum physicist who had volunteered for the mission, was studying the hegemony data that Dr. Cross had transmitted. Colonel, according to these readings, the ancient civilization was more advanced than we initially thought. Their countermeasure wasn't just a weapon, it was an entire defensive network. Chief Engineer Tom Bradley looked up from his equipment checks. The power requirements alone would be staggering. How did they expect to operate something like that? Dr. Singh pulled up holographic displays showing the ancient star charts. They didn't build it on one world. The network was distributed across multiple systems using quantum entanglement to coordinate instantaneous responses. If we can find the central control node, we might be able to activate the entire system. Mitchell studied the tactical situation. They had less than 16 hours. Before the treaty signing, and the alien fleet was already moving into position. Doctor, what exactly does this countermeasure do? From what I can understand, it works by turning the aliens' own technology against them. The hegemony discovered that both the Vorthik and Luminari use quantum-based communication systems. The countermeasure creates a feedback loop that overloads their networks and disables their ships. The ship's sensors detected the outer atmosphere of Kepler 442b, a world that had been dead for over 1,000 years. The surface was covered in the ruins of once great cities, now little more than weathered stone and twisted metal. But somewhere in those ruins lay the key to humanity's survival. Meanwhile, back on New Geneva Station, Elena Vasquez and Commander Morrison were playing a dangerous game of deception. They had to appear normal while secretly preparing for the worst. Elena had identified 3 members of the human delegation who showed signs of alien influence. including one of the senior negotiators. "We can't trust anyone who's been exposed to the pheromone compounds," Morrison whispered as they walked through the station corridors. "The aliens have been conditioning our people for months." Elena nodded toward a group of Vorthek delegates, who were examining human art displays in the cultural center. "They're not just here for the treaty. Look at how they're studying everything. They're learning about human psychology, our weaknesses, our cultural values." Morrison's earpiece crackled. With an update from his security team, "Commander, we've detected unusual activity in the alien quarters. They're moving equipment that doesn't match any diplomatic inventory." "What kind of equipment?" "High-energy systems, sir. The power signatures suggest they're assembling some kind of transmission array." Elena felt her blood run cold. "Commander, what if the treaty itself is the trigger? What if signing the document activates hidden systems throughout human space?" Morrison considered this possibility. "The aliens have been installing their technology in our colonies for months. If each installation contains a dormant weapon system, the treaty signature could send an activation signal to all of them simultaneously." They hurried toward the communication center, where Elena could access the station's long-range sensors. What she found confirmed their worst fears. Buried in the quantum signatures of the alien gift technologies were dormant programs that appeared to be waiting for a specific activation code. "Every piece of technology they've given us contains a hidden weapon," Elena said. "Medical equipment that could release toxins, communication systems that could broadcast jamming signals, even educational materials that could be used to spread propaganda or mind control." Morrison activated his emergency communication system. "This is Commander Morrison to all human vessels. Priority Alpha alert. All alien-provided technology is potentially hostile. Isolate systems immediately." On Kepler 442b, Colonel Mitchell's team had landed near the largest ruined city and was working their way toward what appeared to be a central complex. The ancient buildings rose like broken teeth against the alien sky, their surfaces covered in symbols that seemed to shift and change in the light. Dr. Singh was using her quantum scanner to trace energy signatures left behind by the ancient civilization. "The readings are getting stronger. Whatever they built here, it's still partially active after all these years." Chief Bradley was monitoring their equipment for any signs of hostile activity. "Colonel, we're detecting movement in the ruins ahead. Could be automated defenses or something worse." Mitchell signaled for the team to take defensive positions. "Dr. Singh, how much further to the control node?" "Based on the energy readings, it should be directly beneath the central pyramid. But, Colonel, there's something else. The quantum signature is unlike anything in our databases. I think the hegemony was using technology that we don't fully understand." As they moved deeper into the ruins, the team began to encounter the remnants of the ancient civilization's final battle. Blast marks scarred the walls, and the twisted remains of alien technology lay scattered throughout the corridors. But mixed in with the debris were signs that the hegemony had been fighting back. "Look at this," Bradley said, examining a section of wall that had been partially melted. "These energy patterns don't match Vorthak or Luminari weapons. The hegemony was using something different." Dr. Singh ran her scanner over the blast marks. They were using quantum disruption weapons. Instead of trying to match the aliens' firepower, they developed systems that could interfere with the quantum fields that power alien technology. Mitchell felt a surge of hope. "So they found a way to fight back?" "More than that," Singh replied. "They found a way to turn the aliens' own power against them. But they ran out of time before they could fully implement the system." The team reached the entrance to the central pyramid, where massive doors stood partially open. Beyond them lay a chamber filled with strange crystalline structures that pulsed with faint energy. At the center of the room stood a pedestal holding what appeared to be a control interface. "This is it," Singh said, her voice filled with awe. "The central node of the hegemony's countermeasure network." But as they approached the pedestal, alarms began sounding throughout the ruins. Ancient defense systems were activating, and the team could hear the sound of approaching footsteps echoing through the corridors. We've got company, Mitchell said, readying his weapon. The aliens must have followed us here. Bradley checked his scanner. Multiple contacts approaching from all directions. They're not human, sir. Dr. Singh was working frantically at the control interface, trying to understand the ancient technology. I need more time to figure out how this works. The quantum equations are incredibly complex. The sound of weapons fire erupted from the corridors outside the chamber. Mitchell's team took defensive positions around the pedestal as alien soldiers poured into the room. The Vorthek warriors were massive and heavily armored, while the Luminari appeared as shifting patterns of deadly energy. They knew we were coming. Mitchell realized this was a trap within a trap. The battle was fierce but brief. The aliens had superior numbers and technology, but they hadn't counted on human determination and ingenuity. Mitchell's team fought with desperate courage, buying Singh the time she needed to access the ancient systems. "I've got it," Singh shouted over the noise of battle. The countermeasure works by creating a quantum cascade failure in alien technology. But Colonel, it requires a massive energy input to activate. Mitchell ducked behind cover as enemy fire scorched the air above his head. What kind of energy input? The equivalent of a star's core output, focused through quantum crystalline matrices. The hegemony built the network to draw power from multiple sources simultaneously. Bradley, who had been monitoring the ancient systems, looked up with excitement. "Doctor, what if we use the alien ship's own power sources? If we can create a feedback loop through their quantum communications, we might be able to generate enough energy to activate the network." Singh's eyes widened as she understood the implications. "That's brilliant. We don't need to power the system ourselves. We can use the alien fleet's own energy to destroy them." Mitchell made a decision that would change the course of human history. "Dr. Singh, begin the activation sequence. Chief Bradley, help her make the necessary connections. We're going to turn the aliens' own power against them." As the team worked to activate the ancient countermeasure, the battle around them intensified. The aliens seemed to realize what the humans were attempting and threw everything they had at stopping them. Energy beams scorched the ancient walls, and the sound of weapons fire echoed through the chamber. But humanity had always excelled at adapting to impossible situations. Singh's understanding of quantum physics, combined with Bradley's engineering expertise and Mitchell's tactical leadership, created a formidable combination. Working together, they began to unlock the secrets of the hegemony's ultimate weapon. "The network is responding," Singh reported. "But Colonel, once we activate this system, there's no going back. The quantum cascade will spread through all alien technology within 1,000 light years." Mitchell looked at his watch. They had less than 6 hours before the treaty signing. "Doctor, will this system affect human technology?" The hegemony designed it to target specific quantum signatures used by the Vorthek and Luminari. Human technology should be unaffected, but I can't guarantee it. The sound of approaching reinforcements echoed through the corridors. The aliens were bringing in heavier weapons and more soldiers. Mitchell's team was running out of time and ammunition. "Activate the system, Doctor," Mitchell ordered. "It's our only chance." Singh's hands flew over the ancient controls as she initiated the activation sequence. The crystalline structures around the chamber began to glow with increasing intensity, and the air itself seemed to vibrate with accumulated energy. "Quantum cascade initiated," Singh announced. "The network is coming online across multiple systems." But as the ancient technology awakened, the chamber's defenses also activated. Energy barriers sprang up around the pedestal, trapping the team inside while protecting them from the alien assault. They were safe for the moment, but they were also trapped. "Colonel," Bradley said, monitoring the system displays, "the network is charging, but it's going to take several hours to reach full power. We're going to miss the treaty signing." Mitchell activated his communication system and sent an urgent message to New Geneva Station. "This is Colonel Mitchell to Ambassador Kane. We found the countermeasure, but we need you to delay the signing ceremony. The system requires more time to activate." Kane's response crackled through the static. "Colonel, the aliens are already suspicious about delays. I don't think I can hold them off much longer. Singh looked up from the controls with a mixture of hope and fear. Colonel, the good news is that the network is working. The bad news is that if the aliens activate their trap before we're ready, millions of humans will die. Mitchell looked around at his team, trapped in an ancient chamber on a dead world, holding the key to humanity's survival. The next few hours would determine whether the human race would join the ranks of extinct civilizations or emerge as the galaxy's newest defenders. The countdown to humanity's greatest test had begun, and everything depended on a few brave souls working with technology. They barely understood to save a species that didn't even know it was in danger. Admiral Torres stood in the command center of Sol Defense Command, watching as Operation Lazarus unfolded across human space. To outside observers, it looked like routine military exercises. Ships moved between systems, conducting training maneuvers and equipment tests. But every movement had been carefully planned to position human forces for a galaxy-wide counterstrike. Admiral, Lieutenant Commander Park reported, all fleet units are reporting ready status. The hegemony technology has been integrated into our primary systems. Torres nodded grimly. Colonel Mitchell's team had successfully transmitted the ancient countermeasure data before becoming trapped in the ruins. Human engineers across the galaxy had worked through the night to understand and implement the alien technology. It was a desperate gamble, but it might be their only chance. What's the status of the sleeper ships that Captain Reynolds detected? Park consulted his displays. They're maintaining position but showing increased power signatures. Our analysis suggests they're preparing to activate whatever systems they've hidden in our colonies. Torres pulled up a tactical display showing the positions of every known alien vessel. The pattern was clear and terrifying. Every major human settlement was within striking distance of at least one alien ship. When the treaty was signed, they would be able to attack simultaneously across hundreds of worlds. Admiral, came a voice from the communication center. We're receiving an urgent transmission from Captain Reynolds aboard Cerberus. Reynolds' face appeared on the main screen, her expression tense. Admiral, the alien fleet is moving. They're advancing on all fronts and will reach optimal attack positions within the hour. Torres felt her stomach clench. Are they maintaining communication silence? Negative, Admiral. They've begun transmitting on secured channels. We can't decrypt the messages, but the volume and frequency suggest they're coordinating for immediate action. The implications were clear. The aliens had detected that something was wrong and were moving up their timeline. Torres activated the emergency communication system to contact Ambassador Kane on New Geneva Station. Meanwhile, on the station, Elena, Vasquez, and Commander Morrison were fighting their own battle against time and deception. Elena had discovered that the treaty document itself contained quantum-encoded instructions hidden within the ink. When Ambassador Kane signed the document, it would broadcast an activation signal to every piece of alien technology in human space. The pen they want him to use isn't just ceremonial, Elena explained to Morrison. It contains a quantum transmitter that will activate when it touches the treaty paper. Every alien device in human space will receive the signal simultaneously. Morrison was coordinating with his security teams to prepare for the worst. We need to find a way to substitute the documents without alerting the aliens. But they're watching every move we make. Elena looked around the conference room where the ceremony was scheduled to take place. What if we don't stop the activation? What if we let it happen but redirect the signal? What do you mean? The hegemony countermeasure works by creating a feedback loop in alien quantum communications. If we can intercept the activation signal and bounce it back through their own networks, we might be able to overload their systems. Morrison's expression brightened. Like turning their own weapon against them? Exactly. But we need to time it perfectly. If we act too soon, they'll realize what we're doing and attack immediately. If we act too late, their hidden systems will already be active. Ambassador Kane entered the conference room, looking more stressed than Elena had ever seen him. The aliens are pushing to move the ceremony up by 6 hours. They claim there's some kind of cosmic alignment that makes this timing more auspicious. Elena and Morrison exchanged looks. The aliens were accelerating their timeline because they suspected something was wrong. "Ambassador," Elena said, "we need to tell you something about that pen they want you to use." As Elena explained the hidden quantum transmitter, Kane's face grew pale. "So, the moment I sign the treaty, every human colony becomes a target?" "Not if we can help it," Morrison replied. "We have a plan, but it requires perfect timing and a lot of luck." Kane looked around the room at the alien delegations preparing for the ceremony. "How long do we have?" "Based on the alien fleet movements, about 4 hours," Elena said. "But, Ambassador, there's something else. We've detected evidence that some members of our own delegation may have been compromised by alien influence." Kane's expression hardened. "Who?" "Dr. Harrison from the science team and Deputy Ambassador Mills. They've both been exposed to heavy concentrations of the pheromone compounds. They may not be acting in humanity's best interests." Morrison pulled up security footage showing the two men having private conversations with alien delegates. "They're not traitors, Ambassador. They're being chemically controlled. But they could compromise our plans if they're not contained." Kane made a difficult decision. "Commander Morrison, I'm authorizing you to place them in protective custody. Make it look like a medical emergency." On Kepler 442b, Colonel Mitchell's team was still trapped in the ancient chamber, but they had made crucial progress. Dr. Singh had successfully activated the hegemony countermeasure network, and the quantum cascade was building toward critical mass. "The network is at 60% charge," Singh reported. "But Colonel, I'm detecting massive energy buildups in the alien fleets. They're preparing to attack." Chief Bradley was monitoring the quantum communications between the alien ships. "They're not just preparing to attack. They're coordinating a simultaneous strike across all human space. Every colony, every military installation, every civilian center." Mitchell felt the weight of humanity's survival pressing down on him. "Doctor, can we accelerate the charging process?" "Not without risking cascade failure. If we push too hard, the network could collapse and take out several star systems with it." The sound of heavy weapons fire erupted outside the chamber. The aliens had brought in reinforcements and were trying to breach the energy barriers protecting the team. The ancient defenses were holding, but Mitchell could see cracks beginning to appear in the crystalline structures. "They're going to break through," Bradley observed. "We need to prepare for a final assault." Singh looked up from the controls with determination. "Colonel, I can manually trigger the cascade before it reaches full charge. It won't be as effective, but it should still disable the alien fleets." Mitchell considered their options. "What are the risks?" "The network might not affect all alien technology. Some systems could remain operational, especially those that are shielded or powered down. But it's better than letting them activate their trap." The chamber shook as the alien assault intensified. The energy barriers flickered and sparks began flying from the ancient control systems. Mitchell's team was down to their last few magazines of ammunition, and the aliens showed no signs of giving up. "Colonel," Bradley said, "I'm detecting a massive energy buildup in the alien fleet. They're preparing to activate their trap." Mitchell made the decision that would save humanity. "Dr. Singh, initiate the manual cascade. We can't wait any longer." Singh's hands flew over the controls as she began the emergency activation sequence. The crystalline structures around the chamber began to glow with blinding intensity, and the air itself seemed to crackle with barely contained energy. "Manual cascade initiated," Singh announced. "Network activation in 30 seconds. The alien assault reached a fever pitch as the attackers realized what was happening. Energy beams scorched the ancient walls, and the sound of weapons fire filled the chamber. But the human team held their ground, protecting the controls until the last possible moment. "Cascade activation in 10 seconds, Singh counted down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The chamber filled with blinding light as the quantum cascade erupted across the galaxy. The energy wave traveled faster than thought, reaching every system where alien technology was present. On New Geneva Station, Elena and Morrison watched in amazement as the alien delegates' equipment began to malfunction. "It's working," Elena whispered. "The countermeasure is affecting their technology." But the aliens weren't giving up without a fight. Overlord Thrax roared orders to his guards, and the Luminari began to pulse with angry red energy. They had realized that their trap had been discovered and were preparing to attack immediately. "Ambassador Kane," Commander Morrison said urgently, "we need to move now. The aliens are about to drop all pretense." Kane looked at the treaty document on the table, knowing that his next action would determine the fate of humanity. "Commander, are you ready to implement the feedback loop?" "Yes, sir." "The moment you sign that document, we'll intercept the activation signal and redirect it through their own networks." Kane picked up the quantum-encoded pen, feeling its weight in his hands. Around the room, alien delegates were beginning to move toward their concealed weapons. The moment of truth had arrived. "Ladies and gentlemen," Kane announced, "on behalf of humanity, I hereby sign this treaty of peace and cooperation." As the pen touched the paper, the hidden quantum transmitter activated, sending its deadly signal toward every human colony in the galaxy. But Elena and Morrison were ready. Their hastily constructed interception system grabbed the signal and bounced it back through the alien communication networks. The effect was immediate and devastating. Throughout the station, alien technology began to overload and fail. The Vorthek delegates' armor sparked and shut down, leaving them vulnerable. The Luminari found their energy fields fluctuating wildly, causing them to lose cohesion. "The signal is propagating through their networks," Elena reported. "Every ship, every weapon, every communication system is being affected." On distant worlds, the hidden alien weapons that had been installed in human colonies began to malfunction and destroy themselves. The sleeper ships that had been waiting beyond the outer rim found their systems failing as the quantum cascade reached them, but the aliens weren't finished. Despite their technological failures, they still had conventional weapons and the will to use them. The battle for humanity's survival was just beginning. Overlord Thrax drew a ceremonial blade and charged toward Ambassador Kane. "You have doomed your species, human. The Council will show no mercy." Morrison stepped between them, his weapon drawn. "The only thing that's been doomed is your plan to commit genocide." The chamber erupted in violence as the pretense of peace finally shattered. The greatest battle in human history was about to begin, and the outcome would determine whether humanity would survive to see another day or join the ranks of extinct civilizations that had fallen to the aliens' trap. But for the first time since the crisis began, Admiral Torres allowed herself a moment of hope. The quantum cascade was working, and human forces across the galaxy were reporting successful engagements against disabled alien ships. Humanity had detected the trap and was fighting back with everything they had. The real war was just beginning. ********. The battle for New Geneva Station erupted in chaos as the pretense of peace finally shattered. Ambassador Kane dove behind the conference table as Overlord Thrax's ceremonial blade whistled through the air where his head had been. Commander Morrison's weapon barked twice, sending the massive Vorthek warrior staggering backward. "Security teams to the conference center," Morrison shouted into his communicator. "We have hostile aliens in the station." Elena Vasquez was frantically working at her portable console, monitoring the quantum feedback loop they had created. "The signal is propagating through their networks faster than expected. Alien technology across the galaxy is failing simultaneously." Prime Essence Silara, the Luminari representative, had lost her peaceful golden glow and now pulsed with angry red energy. Her voice came through the translation device as a series of harsh electronic screeches. "You primitive creatures have interfered with forces beyond your comprehension. The Council has destroyed civilizations for lesser offenses." Kane pulled himself to his feet, his diplomatic training forgotten in the face of imminent death. "The Council's days of destroying civilizations are over. Humanity isn't going to be another victim." The station's corridors filled with the sound of weapons fire as human security forces engaged alien delegates who had revealed hidden weapons. The Vorthic warriors were powerful even without their advanced armor, but they were outnumbered and cut off from reinforcements. Morrison's tactical display showed the situation across the station. Ambassador, we have 17 alien hostiles contained in various sections. But the real battle is happening in space. Through the station's massive windows, they could see the spectacle of 1,000 dying ships. The alien fleet that had been positioned to attack humanity was now drifting helplessly as their quantum-based systems failed one by one. Human patrol ships that had been conducting routine exercises suddenly revealed themselves as they moved. To engage the disabled alien vessels. Admiral Torres' voice crackled through the communication system. New Geneva Station, this is Sole Defense Command. Operation Lazarus is proceeding as planned. All human forces are engaging alien targets across the galaxy. Elena looked up from her console with excitement. Admiral, the quantum cascade is working. Better than we hoped? We're receiving reports of alien technology failures from over 300 human colonies. But Torres' expression remained grim. The cascade won't affect all their technology. Some systems were shielded or powered down when the wave hit. We're still facing significant alien forces, especially in the outer rim. On Kepler 442b, Colonel. Mitchell's team had finally broken free from the ancient chamber as the alien assault forces retreated to deal with their own failing equipment. Dr. Singh was monitoring the global effects of the quantum cascade they had triggered. The network is operating at optimal efficiency, Singh reported. But Colonel, I'm detecting massive energy buildups in several alien systems. They're trying to create isolated networks that aren't affected by the cascade. Chief Bradley was examining the ancient hegemony records that had been unlocked when the network activated. Colonel, there's something else. The hegemony left detailed information about other civilizations the aliens destroyed. We're not just fighting for humanity. We're fighting for justice. Mitchell studied the data, his expression growing darker. How many civilizations? At least 12 that we can identify. The hegemony was just the most recent before us. The aliens have been using this same pattern for thousands of years. The implications were staggering. The Galactic Council wasn't just a political alliance. It was a predatory organization that systematically destroyed any civilization that might threaten their dominance. Singh pulled up star charts showing the locations of the extinct civilizations. Colonel, some of these worlds still have survivors. Small groups that escaped the initial attacks and have been hiding in the outer rim. If we can contact them, we might be able to build a real alliance against the Council. Mitchell activated his communication system. Admiral Torres, this is Colonel Mitchell. We need to expand our thinking beyond just defending humanity. The aliens have destroyed at least 12 other civilizations using the same tactics. There may be survivors who could join us. Torres' response came through with barely contained excitement. Colonel, we're already making contact with some of them. It seems the quantum cascade didn't just disable alien technology. It also disrupted the jamming systems they've been using to prevent communication between survivor groups. Across the galaxy, the effects of humanity's counterstrike were becoming clear. The massive alien fleet that had been positioned to attack human space was now scattered and largely disabled. But the aliens weren't giving up. They were regrouping around their remaining functional systems and preparing for a desperate counterattack. On New Geneva Station, the immediate threat had been contained, but Elena's sensors were detecting new problems. Commander Morrison, the aliens are trying to reboot their systems using backup power sources. Some of their technology is coming back online. Morrison coordinated with his security teams as they worked to maintain control of the station. How long before they regain full functionality? Based on the quantum patterns, maybe 6 hours? But Commander, there's something else. The Cascade has revealed hidden alien installations throughout human space. They've been building secret bases for decades. Kane looked at the tactical display showing dozens of previously unknown alien facilities. They've been preparing for this war for generations. The peace treaty was just the final phase of a plan that's been in motion for years. The battle for New Geneva represented just one front in a galaxy-wide conflict. Admiral Torres was coordinating human forces across hundreds of systems, each one facing its own unique challenges. Some colonies were completely cut off from alien influence and suffered no attacks. Others found themselves under siege from alien forces whose technology had been only partially affected by the quantum cascade. "Admiral," Lieutenant Commander Park reported, "we're receiving distress signals from the Centauri system. Alien forces are attacking the orbital stations with conventional weapons." Torres dispatched the nearest human battle group while continuing to monitor the overall situation. "What's the status of the alien homeworlds?" "The Vorthic Empire's capital system is in chaos. The cascade affected their entire infrastructure. But the Luminari Collective operates differently. They're energy-based beings, so they're less dependent on technology." The battle was far from over, but humanity was no longer fighting alone. The quantum cascade had awakened survivor groups from the previously destroyed civilizations, and they were beginning to coordinate their efforts. The ancient hegemony network that Dr. Singh had activated was serving as a communication hub for dozens of species that had been hiding in the shadows for centuries. Captain Reynolds, monitoring the situation from deep space, reported massive changes in the galactic power structure. "Admiral, the cascade has disrupted the alien command structure. We're detecting civil war breaking out in several council systems." Torres allowed herself a moment of satisfaction. It seems some of their client species have decided they don't want to be part of a genocidal empire. The Vorthak and Luminari had built their power by forcing weaker species to serve them. But the quantum cascade had shown these subject peoples that their masters weren't invincible. Rebellions were breaking out across the galaxy as long oppressed civilizations saw their chance for freedom. Elena, still monitoring the alien communication networks, made a startling discovery. "Admiral, the aliens are trying to activate some kind of final protocol. They're calling it the Purification Directive." Torres felt a chill run down her spine. "What does that mean?" "From what I can intercept, it's a contingency plan. If they can't control the galaxy, they'll try to destroy it. They're moving some kind of weapon toward the galactic core." The stakes had just escalated beyond anything humanity had imagined. The aliens weren't just trying to conquer the galaxy. They were prepared to destroy it rather than lose control. Mitchell's team on Kepler 442b was still working with the ancient hegemony systems when they detected the alien weapon. "Admiral, we're tracking a massive energy signature moving toward the galactic center. The hegemony records indicate it's some kind of stellar destabilization device." Torres felt the weight of the entire galaxy's survival pressing down on her. "How do we stop it?" The hegemony was working on a counterweapon when they were destroyed. "The plans are in the network, but it would require the cooperation of all the survivor species to build and deploy it. The next few hours would determine not just humanity's fate, but the fate of every living being in the galaxy." The aliens had revealed their true nature as beings willing to commit cosmic genocide rather than accept defeat, but humanity had something the aliens didn't understand. They had the ability to inspire others and build alliances based on mutual respect rather than fear. The quantum cascade had done more than disable alien technology. It had revealed the truth about the Galactic Council to every species in the galaxy. As the battle continued across thousands of worlds, a new alliance was forming. Humans, hegemony survivors, freed client species, and even some former council members who had been horrified by the Purification Directive were joining forces against the true threat. Ambassador Kane, standing in the damaged conference room where the treaty had been signed, looked out at the stars and smiled. The document that was supposed to be humanity's death warrant had become the foundation for a new kind of galactic civilization, one built on cooperation, truth, and the shared determination to never again allow genocide to succeed. The war was far from over, but humanity had done more than survive. They had exposed the greatest evil in galactic history and united the galaxy against it. The peace treaty had indeed been a trap, but humanity had turned it into the key to their liberation. Torres activated the galaxy-wide communication network that the quantum cascade had made possible. This is Admiral Rebecca Torres of the United Human Defense Forces. To all free peoples of the galaxy, we call upon you to join us in building a new kind of galactic council. One based on freedom, cooperation, and the absolute rejection of genocide. The response was immediate and overwhelming. Dozens of species, some thought extinct for centuries, announced their intention to join the new alliance. The aliens' trap had backfired spectacularly, creating exactly the kind of unified opposition they had tried to prevent. The battle for the galaxy's future had begun, and humanity was no longer fighting alone. They had become the spark that ignited a revolution that would reshape the cosmos forever. The Treaty of Ages had indeed changed everything, just not in the way the aliens had planned. As the stars continued to burn in the eternal darkness of space, a new chapter in galactic history was beginning, one where humanity's greatest strength, their ability to unite others in the face of impossible odds, would determine whether freedom or tyranny would rule the galaxy.